This isn't going to be a particularly seasonal topic. I kind of used up the seasonal topic with the revising my games of the year last time. Nor is this going to be terribly incisive. I'm basically typing by the seat of my pants right now with no idea where this is going, so I also wouldn't expect a coherent point to emerge. Christ knows why you're even watching me at all, frankly. But here's the topic that's currently living rent-free in my head that I need to get out. I am really fucking sick of sequences in games where you navigate abstract environments consisting of bits of broken building and terrain floating in the middle of a void, to illustrate that the protagonist is going through some kind of internal or hallucinatory mental struggle. It's been on my mind because Call of Duty Black Ops 6 ends with one of these, and you know a trope is getting tired when a fucking Call of Duty game does it. I won't speculate too hard on where it all started. The first game I can remember it happening is Earthbound on the SNES. Towards the end, when your character goes to a weird mental realm of floating islands that he explores in his pajamas, or completely in the buff if you're playing the Japanese version. Other early examples include the end of Castlevania Aria of Sorrow, when Soma battles his dark half in a mental realm floating in space, the bit at the end of Prince of Persia 2 Thrones where the prince battles his dark half in a mental realm floating in space. American McGee's Alice is basically one big mental realm floating in space experience, and while Zen at the end of Half-Life isn't a hallucination, it looks exactly like the kind of thing I'm talking about. You know, a big colourful skybox with a load of scattered floating debris we're expected to navigate. This sort of thing is prevalent because it's used as visual shorthand for a mental breakdown by showing reality literally, physically breaking down before us. But the fact that it's so appropriate as a visual metaphor for a mental or emotional condition also makes it a cliché and lazy, which is one reason to object to it. The other is that it is completely unlike what hallucinating is actually like. I, for one, have never imagined myself traversing a Mario Galaxy level because I was struggling with a very important decision. I do know what it's like to hallucinate. I had a pretty wild youth. I've taken LSD. That didn't make me imagine bizarre disconnected astral realms either, just made me want to lie flat on my face and run my fingers through the carpet fibers. Oh, and it fucked with my sense of scale. I tucked a blanket under my chin and the blanket became this endless desert stretching in all directions. I had to stand on a chair and touch the ceiling to assure myself it wasn't shooting away. But the point is, it didn't actually shoot away and leave me hopscotching across conveniently spaced chunks of carpeted floor floating in void. I think this sequence exists for two reasons. Firstly, it makes for a moment of variety if you've gotten used to the game being about normal things like platforming challenges and gun battles to the death. It's a curveball, like how the levels in Contra are basically normal setting, normal setting, normal setting, weird fleshy alien planet to let you know that shit's gotten real. That's probably the reasoning behind Scarecrow's bits in Batman Arkham Asylum. Those I do actually like, but the fun part of them for me is always the bit before the jumping across platforms floating in space part. In the second Scarecrow mission, for example, you only know you're in it when you turn a corner and find a corridor stretching seemingly infinitely into darkness. And that does feel like what hallucinating is actually like, the whole messing with scale thing. And then you walk down it and it gradually transitions into the alley where Batman's parents died, as we get pulled further and further into delusion. It only switches to the jumping around floating platforms bit at the end when Scarecrow goes, "Alright, I'm done fucking with you now, let's get the formalities over with." The other purpose the delusional floaty platform sequence serves is to marry story and gameplay in a slightly cheap and shoddy way. You see, we all want to have interactive narrative. No one likes getting stuck in cutscenes for too long. So we want to craft scenarios where the gameplay and the story work together, but unfortunately, gameplay generally has a limited amount of verbs to work with. Move, jump, attack. There's only so much character building you can do with those. You're golden if all you need to do is beat the crap out of a big mean villain, or, I don't know, climb to the top of a high building to overcome your fear of heights. But the moment you want to do something more nuanced, well, just look what happened with Press F to pay respects. Lacking the language of film and other forms of linear storytelling, the imaginary astral realm sequence provides a method by which a complex character moment, like an internal struggle, can be expressed through the existing gameplay verbs of jumping, attacking, climbing, etc. You're still shooting baddies, but now the baddies are fear and doubt and your inability to admit to your mother that you really don't like that lasagna she makes every Thanksgiving. But it's all so bloody unsubtle. I'm trying to interrogate why it's starting to make me roll my eyes every time it happens, and I think the gist of it is that it's completely lacking in nuance. It's like a political cartoon where there's a dude with the words general public on his torso being blatted in the face with a brick with taxes written down the side. I think when you want to represent your character's mental state with a metaphorical breakdown of reality, that concept only has power as long as there's ambiguity. The Scarecrow bits in Arkham Asylum are so memorable because at first you don't realize reality is broken down. Things start getting weird in subtle ways, like the corridor looking wrong, or the camera tilting, or Batman making little delicate coughs on the lungfuls of fear gas. The very definition of hallucinating is being unable to distinguish what's real from what isn't. And when you do start jumping across floating platforms to escape giant Scarecrow spotlight eyes, it's very easy to distinguish what's real. None of this is real. Ambiguity over, let's focus on the business of waking ourselves up. You ever see that film Jacob's Ladder? Spoiler alert, a good portion of that film takes place entirely inside the main character's head. did, and its effectiveness is rooted in us not knowing where reality ends and nightmare begins. For the most part, you watch Jacob going about his daily life, doing normal things, delivering mail, going to parties, getting lobotomized, and every now and again something happens that makes you and Jacob question reality. A spooky ghost on a train, a weird twitchy face monster, Macaulay Culkin appearing in a film before Home Alone. What the film does not do at any point is show Jacob fly through an asteroid belt, fending off killer bats, bearing the face of his middle school homeroom teacher, because it would have instantly given the game away, wouldn't it? Hey, wait a minute. Isn't there a relatively well-known video game franchise that openly cites Jacob's Ladder as a direct influence? Oh, that's right. Silent fucking Hill. Yes, I've tricked you into hearing me bang on about Silent Hill 2 again. It's another great example of a delusional nightmare world where things stay ambiguous. Silent Hill is a physical town that exists, but the malevolent forces within overlay a sort of extra level of reality informed by James Sunderland's subconscious. Sometimes we glimpse things reflecting the suppressed feelings and memories of the characters. Sometimes we just see the abandoned burger restaurant that's actually there, and there's no telling where the separation lies. That's why it's creepy. Hell, the otherworld version of the environments in Silent Hill 2 just look like dirty abandoned buildings. The fire-damaged, waterlogged otherworld version of the hotel at the very end may well be the real hotel, and the nice clean version we were in earlier may have been the hallucination. We don't know. Compare that to the otherworld sequences in, say, Silent Hill Downpour, where we're literally jumping across giant astral clock faces in the middle of an American McGee's Alice level, and there's no ambiguity whatsoever. I mean, the whole Jacob's Ladder thing where the fucked up shit appears over the top of what seems like surface reality, that too is what hallucinating things is actually like. If you're trying to envision something you're not sure about or can't quite remember, or which you're subconsciously suppressing, you don't imagine the bits you are sure about floating unsupported in void. Your mind is more likely to fill in the blanks with things you are familiar with. When I was a child, I once had a dream about a naked woman, but at that age, I'd never actually seen a naked woman before, so when the clothes came off, all I saw was a fairly non-committal torso and then what looked like a small boy's penis between their legs. Was that weird? Yes. Is it weird that I'm sharing it with you? Possibly more so. The point is, I had never seen a vagina, but my brain filled in the blank with something it had seen. It didn't just dream of a female head, arms and legs floating in the middle of a multicolored nebula. I would like to stress that this was when I was an extremely young child, like before the internet was a thing, and rest assured, now as a sexually experienced adult who has seen actual naked women, when I dream of vaginas, they're exactly how they're supposed to be. Monstrous, fanged, devouring mouths.
This video is brought to you by Game Maker, the free, fast, and easy-to-use 2D game engine that helps power modern classics like Undertale, Hotline Miami, and Hyper Light Drifter. Starter templates, official asset bundles, and a wealth of tutorials are available to help bring your ideas to life. And you can export and share your game for free on all non-console platforms. But you don't have to take my word for it, I'm just some jerk. We have an actual bona fide Game Maker on hand.
Oh shit, that's me. Yes, I've been using Game Maker for a long time. It's probably the most powerful and easiest to use engine for making 2D games out there, suitable for both amateurs and hardcore coders, and with all the Steam and console integration stuff for when you're ready to start monetizing your hobbies. I used it to make my recently released game, Starstruck Vagabond, which has already delighted thousands of sci-fi cozy game aficionados, thanks to Game Maker being so bloody great.
Head on over to the Game Maker link in the description to begin your game development journey today.